Libya's new rebel leaders are seeking to restore order in Tripoli, encouraging fighters to return home. The National Transitional Council will move to the capital from its stronghold of Benghazi within the next week. Although Colonel Gaddafi remains at large and some parts of the country are still under the control of his loyalist fighters. NATO continues aerial strikes on Gaddafi troops near his home city of Sirte, saying the UN mandate to protect civilians still stands. The coalition is also moving to release billions of dollars of the former leader's frozen assets to fund reconstruction. And while most Libyans are enjoying the first taste of revolutionary freedom, there are some accusations that NATO states are looting the vast oil riches. RT's Daniel Bushell reports on the powers lining up for lucrative energy contracts.
Italy's top oil company Eni has already moved its workers back into Libya. Britain's BP is said to be in private talks with their interim government. French rival Total denies reports that France was promised a third of the country's vast reserves by rebels. But Alain Juppé, France's foreign minister, calls it fair and logical to favour those who've backed the winning side. War against Gaddafi is not even over, but allies already appear to be fighting for the resources he once controlled.
Actually, this war with this activism of Sarkozy, it was a war of France against Italy.
Ownership of Libya's oil, say experts, is key to control of the country.
Libya is a very unusual economy in that it depends entirely on oil production and the money coming from oil sales.
Oil's so crucial, some Libyans call foreign sway on the sector an occupation, which they say they'll challenge.
The Arab people will not accept such occupation.
He was speaking at a demonstration that's brought together North Africans and Europeans who oppose the takeover of Libya's resources. These people are denouncing what they're calling the looting of Libya. They say NATO states are stealing the country's oil under the pretext of helping its civilians. Libyan politicians say they should own their most important asset.
Libya is a population. And we have the right for self-determination. We don't want oil companies to determine our future.
But analysts say rebels are set on rewarding states whose bombing helped them to power. Daniel Bushell, RT.
The looming end of NATO's campaign in Libya is seen by some as the beginning of a race for oil reserves in the wider Middle East. Political analyst and expert in Africa, Abayomi Azikiwe, says the alliance is only thinking of profit.
They carried out over 20,000 sorties, approximately 7,500 airstrikes against a country of 6 million people that has virtually no air defense and a very minute and very limited military defense capability. So this is clearly not a war on the part of the Libyan people against their government, but a war on the part of NATO to really expropriate the resources in Libya. They had a meeting to discuss the future of Libya in Paris. This meeting did not take place in Africa. It did not take place in Libya. It took place in Europe. And this is nothing but an attempt to neo-colonize North Africa. And they're beginning with Libya, which has the most lucrative oil resources in Africa. It had the highest standard of living in Africa. So this is clearly an act of forced removal and definitely regime change.
Political analyst and expert on Africa, Abayomi Azikiwe, sharing his thoughts on NATO's role in Libya's conflict.